For all those that don't know me, I'm Michelle Rice-Blodane. This is a hand up, not a handout. So, I would like everybody to raise your hand. Go ahead, raise your hand. Everybody raise your hand. Okay. So every time I say, come on down now. Every time I say a hand up, I want everybody to raise their hand. And that way I know you're listening. Okay? All right. That way? Got it? Oh, good, okay. All right. Try this again. Okay, welcome to a hand up, not a handout.
Okay.
In Manitou Springs. Hold on questions later unless you really have a question. Okay.
No, we were just
raising your hand. Yeah, see, people are listening. Yeah, good. Okay. The model for this project was designed 3 years ago, and it was designed to be used anywhere 2 years ago. I implemented it in Manitou Springs on a limited basis with limited funds and donations. I hope that someday the program can be fully implemented here in Manitou Springs and the model used in other cities. Manitou Springs is a unique city. It is not unique that it has homeless, but that we are on the edge of the national forest. Most homeless live in the inner city and are visible to the average person as they drive to and from work and other activities. Here, they are hidden. El Paso County, Colorado Springs, and Manitou Springs have many laws that discourage people from being homeless in our inner city. They include no camping ordinances, a no blanket ordinance, no trash can digging, no loitering, and other ordinances and laws that discourage people who are homeless from sticking around. This does not work. The homeless are still present, just not as visible. In other words, out of sight, out of mind. The Colorado Springs shelters are full, so they camp in the national forest. By my account, between April and October, 200 to 400 homeless are given at any given time. During the Waldo Canyon fire, many of these people were forced out of their homes into the Red Cross shelter where I worked. The Red Cross said they were homeless to begin with, they can go back to being homeless. What they didn't understand was they might be homeless, but they had homes. Homes might only be tents, plywood, or cardboard shacks, or even a cave, but it was still their home, and it was all they had. Once the Red Cross was made aware of this, they did a wonderful job of helping many of these people find real homes. Every year, the population of homeless people increases in our forest. Manitou Springs, being the first real civilization on the edge of the forest, becomes inundated with these people looking for handouts. They have become homeless here for hundreds of reasons. When they have gotten to this point, no matter how hard they try, there is no way to get up and out of the forest without help. This is when they need a hand up, not a hand out. A handout is well-meaning, but it's like the old proverb, give a man a fish and you have to feed him every day. Teach him how to fish and he can feed himself. What is it like? When you have reached the point of living in the forest, you have hit rock bottom. You have no job, you are hungry, you have no family or friends that can help. You probably have lost your ID, your birth certificate, and social security card. You have no phone. You have no place to get mail. You have no clean clothes and no way to clean them. You have no way to even take a shower and have basic hygiene. There are several places in Colorado Springs that can help. The rescue shelter help a lot of people, but they are usually full and have daily waiting lists. Westside Cares is a wonderful emergency program. There's also Catholic Charities in downtown Colorado Springs. That has a good soup kitchen and emergency program. But after you have walked 5 to 10 miles out of your hidey hole in the National Forest, you have another 3 miles to Westside Cares and another 8 miles downtown. That's a long walk, there and back. St. Andrews here in Manitou Springs provides a limited community food giveaway on Wednesday and a community meal on Sundays, but this isn't enough. The first goal is to get these people a place to live. The second is to get them a job. But first we must identify why they live in the National Forest. There are 3 categories about evenly split. The first category is that they want to be there and they are passing through. There is not anything permanent you can do to help these type of person. Just provide basic need, food, shower, clean clothes, first aid, phone, and mattress. The second category is the mentally ill or disabled. This is a group that needs our compassion and help. I often try and send these mentally ill to Aspen Pointe, formerly Pikes Peak Mental Health. They have some wonderful short-term and long-term programs for housing and even work. The disabled need a lot of help. Social Security disability can take as long as 6 years to get someone through their system. If you are homeless, it can take much longer. There is a state aid that provides $185 in cash and $185 in food stamps. I don't know anyone who can live on $885 a month. There is no temporary housing for these people until their approval, unless they are disabled enough to be in a nursing home. These people want to work, they just can't. Many of them have what's known as unseen disabilities. Many vets are in this class and can be referred to the Veteran Administration and other nonprofit vet groups for help. For the others, there is currently no place to refer them. The third class of people who are just down and out, they want to work, they want a place to live, they want food, and as we addressed earlier, there's no way to get out of their situation when you have reached this point without a hand up. In order to get a job or food stamps, you need ID and a Social Security card. This is the first hurdle. Since this requires an address and a birth certificate, Westside Cares can help, but you have to get there. They provide food, birth certificates, and IDs. They can go to social services to get temporary food stamps and Pikes Peak workforce referrals after that. This is where the second hurdle comes into play. It is finding out about jobs, filling out job applications, and going to interviews. 2 years ago, I began an old-fashioned bulletin board, like the ones at college campuses. I searched the town for job wanted ads. I would ask people what they were good at or could do, match them up with jobs I knew were available, and then send them to employers or to the Pikes Peak workforce. This would require they have a shower, clean clothes, a contact number, and address. I would send them down to the Manitou Rec Center and pool so they could get a shower for $3, now $3.25. Sometimes the campgrounds occasionally would let them take a shower. Westside Cares takes care of the clean clothes with laundry vouchers and business attire from Goodwill. This requires bus fare or bus tokens. I gave them my number so prospective employers can leave a message, and if they get a job, when I could see them, I would pass them a message. In most cases, this got them a job. I was able to place 13 people over the last 2 years. Then it's just a matter of bus fare and showers till they can manage for themselves. There are several housing programs in Colorado Springs that can help them from there. Psychological and social work. There is a very big psychological component. Most of these people have given up. They have low self-esteem. They see themselves as failures. Many of them are near suicidal. If they were not drug addicts and or alcoholics before, they become one in order to numb the pain. All of this leads to a horrible catch-22. Worse than that, society has given up on them. They need a community that will help them get them back on their feet, give them jobs and a place to live. They need someone willing to listen to them, check in with them, give them daily encouragements through the process, someone willing to acknowledge their success and encourage them to their next goal. Trial results. There were 20 clients in the pilot program. 1 died from being homeless. 2 were referred to Aspen Pointe and got the care they needed, and now in stable homes. 4 were sent to Pikes Peak Community College, where they got FAFSA money, jobs, and housing, one of whom is a mother with 4 kids. They are all on their way to degrees or certificate programs. 1 went to a ministry program and is now serving the Lord in another state. 3 were vets and 2 went into their program and after extensive waiting got housing. One of the vets, who was on his last bit of hope and was suicidal, came to our program. He went on to get a job and housing. He eventually got a job at a hotel as a hotel manager. 5 other clients were able to get jobs and housing, 1 a mother with a child. 3 sadly are still dealing with drugs and or alcohol and need help. 1 finally got his disability. The entire cost, $250 was taken in donations and a lot of work. Immediate needs. The premise of a hand up, not a handout, is not to give out money that could be used for drugs or alcohol. We do not give any money at all. There is some accountability for the money that is used. These distributions are used to help a person either meet basic needs or reach their goals. Right now, we need to work with the city to come up with shower vouchers for the pool and rec center. We need bus vouchers, one-way adult, handicapped, senior child. We need a central office that can be accessible near the forest. It can be used to have an emergency telephone to call out or get messages. We used as an address, can be used as an address so homeless can get mail. We need basic non-cook, non-refrigeration food to hand out. We need first aid supplies, toiletry like toilet paper, toothbrushes, toothpaste, razors, bandages, antibacterial cream, and ice packs. A place to have drug and alcohol recovery meetings. This is why we need money. This would all help limit the people panhandling on the street. We also need volunteers. Long-term dream. I would like to create a homeless service center. Ideally, I would like to rent or own the Indian Spring property at the edge of town. I would like it equipped with bathrooms, showers, a kitchen where food can be prepared, phones, computers, washers and dryers, and a service garden. A place where we can hand out emergency clothes, first aid, and camping supplies, where they can have an address so that they can get mail. I'd like to paint a giant ladder on the wall where people can chart their progress, be encouraged, and encourage others. This would be a place where they can come and get help, a place where there is someone to listen, where they can get a hand up, not a handout. Any questions? Yes?
So how did you find your sample group for the pilot program?
The sample group was when we sitting out in front of the spring. They were people that came back to me repeatedly, time after time, and showed encouragement in wanting to get help, or they were mentally ill and needed to be directed towards programs in that direction. Basically, the first step was to classify them, as we talked about, and then once they were classified into this, then they would progress through each of those progressions of classifications to get to what they needed.
What are you talking about, the spring?
The Manitou Cheyenne Mountain Spring, or Cheyenne Spring, yeah, that we have out there. I would sit out there, and that's how I found the people. Any other questions? We can go back. Can you scroll us back to that chart? Yep, there we go, right there. These are the same 20 people, and as you notice, we managed to get all of these people in brown were the people that we managed to get housed. All of these people in blue tint were actually people that managed to get jobs. The dark blue ones were through our program where we did referrals and got them showers and got them transportation. These in here are the ones we got into school. Over the age of 24 now, your parents' income does not count. So you can get almost $6,000 a semester to go to junior college. Junior college, including books, is only $2,000. So that leaves you with $4,000 worth of income to live on. They have a wonderful jobs program there. So once you're enrolled in the school, they will get you placed in a job, so that temporary money that you get will get you started, get you a deposit on a place, and then your job can carry you through the rest of the semester or year to get your degree. So far, none of them have graduated. It's only been 2 years. Some of them are coming close, but they all are still in college at this point. And then these two in here, they did manage to get jobs, but that was through the Veterans Administration. And I kept an eye on them. They actually, after being on a waiting list for almost 9 months, they were able to get into housing, and then the Veterans Administration gave them a job through their program there.
So what school is helping them?
Pikes Peak Community College.
And so have you gotten any feedback from, say, the Veterans Association or Pikes Peak Community College, any of them want to partner or collaborate?
I haven't actually directly talked to them.
Yeah.
I don't deal with them, I deal directly with the clients.
Yeah.
And so my part with it is just, you know, in every one of their cases, they had no identification, they had no social security card, they had no food stamps, they had no clothing except for what was on their body, and minimal camping equipment. So you have to go through these almost baby steps in order to get them there. You have to get them to give them vouchers, transportation vouchers to get to Westside Cares, where they can then file for their birth certificate. Well, that takes a month. So, and actually though, the process is now speeded up. You can now go to the Social Services Center that we have on Garden of the Gods, and you can actually get your birth certificate directly there now. But Westside Cares will give you a check to go there and make an appointment, so that you can go directly to them and get your birth certificate within days. You still have to have an address to mail it to, and Westside Cares or Catholic Charities would take care of that. But we need something closer to the mountains, because what's happening is these people aren't getting any further than Manitou Springs. Getting to Westside Cares doesn't seem like a big deal when you say 3 miles, but they've already walked 5 to 10 miles to get here.
That's a lot.
So they need something that's closer to an address for that birth certificate to come to. Also, the state of Colorado does not allow you to have an identification without an address and proof of an address. So somebody has to vouch for you living here, whether it be a center like Westside Cares or Catholic Charities. But if they don't have an address to mail your ID to, you can't get it, and you can't even get your ID, you can't even file for it until you get it. So all of these, if you go to the...
How come that is? Is this the laws that are...
It's the laws.
For a while?
It's been that way for the last 4 years, since 9/11 primarily, but they've gotten stricter in the last 4 years
You
about
think
that.
they'd be getting less?
Yeah, you would think so. Nope, keep going. No, back, no, you're back. Back. Yeah, oh, too far. Right there. See, this is our first hurdle here. And pretty much everyone, even the mentally ill, has to get through that first hurdle, believe it or not. Because they can't get their Medicaid to get into Aspen Pointe until they have identification and a social security number. And because they're mentally ill, it takes a lot of work. One lady, I had to write on her hand every day for 2 weeks, go to Pikes Peak, go to Westside Cares to get her paperwork started, to get her birth certificate. She'd get about halfway there and forget what she was doing. If I had more volunteers, I would have actually had a volunteer go with her to get to that point, and take the bus with her and help her do that. We did eventually get her into Aspen Pointe, and she now has a place to live. So
Where
that
does she
was
live at?
what she lives in Colorado Springs, actually near Aspen Pointe.
So they give her an address or something?
Well, they give her. Aspen Pointe is great if you can get them to that point. Where they can get their Medicaid, which you can't do until you have a driver's license and social security card. They have a wonderful housing and job program. If you're able to do a job, if you're not, they can still get you into housing. And they have a tremendous amount of housing resources. They also have a school that they bought themselves, that they teach people so that they can get jobs and help job place them as well. So if they are in that mentally ill category, they can do that.
But you don't have to be mentally ill.
No, well, no. To get to Aspen Pointe, you do.
Do you?
That's strictly for mentally ill. But this is for our program here that we have. But you still have to go through that initial first hurdle to get any of these people anywhere.
I feel that mental illness could be, acute depression.
It can be anything. It can be anything that would classify, and that would help you with that. Yes.
Basically the ID, it doesn't have to be a driver's license.
It has to be state ID.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Colorado ID is okay.
Right. Yes. But it has to be Colorado ID.
And that's kind of hard to get sometimes.
Well, you can't get it again unless you have an address for them to, 1, mail it to, and 2, they won't even give it to you until you have proof of address.
Why does he ever do this to people? I don't get it.
There's the rules. Yes.
So what I hear you saying, Michelle, is sort of a stopgap between the forest and where they can go to Aspen Pointe, Westside Cares, to be able to prepare themselves a little teeny bit and give them basically transportation.
Transportation and showers.
Showers and clean.
Yes.
And encouragement. It's the daily encouragement that makes a big deal. Checking in with them every day, having a place that they can get phone messages or mail really is a big deal. Those showers are really a big deal. They don't even want to go to any of the places they need to or even get on the bus unless they've had a shower. In most cases, we don't want them to be honest. And there's a lot of people in town that we'd like to say, we'd really like to have you take a shower, you know. And it's not that they don't want to, it's that they don't have to. The lady from the Springs was the spring group that we have, the sponsor, the organization that does the Springs. She addressed a concern, and I wish she'd been here tonight, that said we're now getting all our homeless people taking showers in the Springs and washing their hair in the Springs.
Oh.
And the tourists,
Joanne.
what?
Joanne.
Joanne, yes. And so she's really concerned about, one, the hygiene of that, and two, it doesn't look good to our tourists to do this. So I'm hoping to maybe work with the city and say, okay, I know that it's $3.25 per shower, but can we make up some kind of vouchers, and I'll buy 50, you know, I'll give you $50 for, you know, for 20 vouchers or something, and work out some kind of deal where we can buy mass quantities. Because if you buy a 20 punch card, it's only it's $40 for 20 punches. But if we had like ticket vouchers, we could just give them and say, okay, this is good for shower. We don't want to give them money, because giving the money never gets used for what it's intended to. So the whole point of this whole program is to give them vouchers to get all of the things that they need to do. Westside Cares gives vouchers for laundry washing, they give vouchers for food, they give vouchers for, they give you a check made out to Department of Motor Vehicles. So
Where are they getting the money from?
donations, no, from all the churches, all of the churches, and a lot of donations. Westside Cares gets all of their donations from churches, all the churches on the west side, as well as a lot of personal, and they have fundraisers and stuff. But it's still getting the people to Westside Cares, you know, and getting them the basic needs.
I know when I passed through Oregon, the missionary, the women's missionary, it was free, and it was so great. And I don't know where they got the money. It must have been a church.
So the first goal that we really have is we want to set up some kind of office somewhere that we can have volunteers man it. Primarily, we would hope somewhere on the edge of the National Forest. That's why I like the Indian Springs as a dream place, because it's literally right on the edge of the National Forest. It's the first thing that the people would come to before they would come into the city. They would have the opportunity to get showers or get shower vouchers or get transportation down to the shower and then get a shower, that kind of thing, so that they are more presentable for the people of Manitou Springs. It also would alleviate all of the people who are sitting there panhandling with signs, and I admit I do it, but I admit it, but we don't really have much alternative. We want to take and make all these laws to make it impossible for them to live homeless, but at the same time, we don't want to give them anything that's an alternative to make up for it. And what my program is proposing is that we give them an alternative so that they don't have to stand on the street and panhandle, that we can give them like emergency ration foods of non-perishable, non-cooking type foods that they can come at any time into the emergency and get.
I'm going to be devil's advocate for a minute, Michelle, okay? What would you say to the people who say, if we do something like this, it will draw people, not just the folks who are in the forest, but all over the United States or all over Colorado?
Well, in answer,
here.
Right, in answer to your question, we get them anyway. I lived here for 25 years now, and for 25 years I've watched this continue to go on. There was a person on city council 4 years ago when I wanted to do a soup kitchen here who stonewalled me because he felt exactly that we were just going to be handing them food and therefore we would create more people. And I took that under advisement when I thought about this whole plan, but it turns out they're going to be here anyway. There is nowhere else for them to go. They're going to come here, whether they're passing through or whether they're staying or whether they're stuck. They're going to be here anyway. To not give them the bare necessities is going to continue to have them standing on the street with signs, which the Supreme Court upheld they're allowed to do, and tarnish the city in that manner, which we don't like. So it kind of helps alleviates that. It gives them emergency food, which they need. Just out of human dignity, they should be entitled to, food. If we give them showers, well, my gosh, that means that these homeless people that are gathering around the town anyway are at least cleaner.
Yeah.
And it's not such a deterrent to the people out there. We give them clothes vouchers, that the laundry people offer clothes vouchers so that they can get their laundry washed. Or they can trade in and get new clothes at West Side Cares or Marion House, but at least they have transportation vouchers to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a stopgap method between the forest and the other resources that we have here in the city. And of course, 90% of them either don't know about them or may be incapacitated to understand the resources. So they need help in getting to those resources and getting connected to those resources. Yes.
So are you sort of looking like at 2 or 3 kind of case workers who have the information at their fingertips? Then a person would come in and they would listen and evaluate and find out what kind of information they needed.
Mm-hmm. That's why if you go down, I think there's a slide down there, there's the evaluation. No, keep going. Keep going. No, it's the other way. It's the other way. Oh, keep going. One more.
Right now.
One more. Right there. This is our list of what we do with each client when they come in. We first listen to them, then we evaluate them and decide which of those 3 main categories they fit into. We do referrals at that point to wherever it is appropriate at that point. We try and set goals for them. And sometimes it's just little goals. Sometimes it's just getting to a shower or getting to West Side Cares to start that birth certificate process. But we set some kind of goal for them, in which case they're earning getting emergency food or getting emergency supplies. Wow, I can't count how many people came to me with minor boo-boos or scrapes or stuff that needed Band-Aids and first aid. Nothing major, nothing to send them to the paramedics for, but still something that was going to get infected, a knife cut in their hand or whatever from trying to open a can of food. So there really needs to be something on the edge of the forest that people can get this kind of, not quite emergency first aid, but some first aid. Because these people have nothing. They have no Band-Aids, they have no nothing.
I'm wondering, what can we here do? What can we do?
Well, the first step that I have goes back to the second to last one, temporary.
Which one?
Immediate needs. These are kind of the emergency immediate needs that we can all do here to help support this. If you know of somebody who's willing to give us an office space that we can work out of, then we can, at that point, obviously money, volunteers to man that office. Just even non-perishable, non-cooking foods can be brought here, and they can be handed out on Sundays at least. Things like crackers, tuna fish, peanut butter, all that kind of stuff like that, any kind of canned meats are really good so that they can be handed out. Toilet paper, believe it or not, the bathrooms here in Manitou Springs get their toilet paper stolen every day. Okay, I don't know how they do it, but every day they manage to steal a roll of toilet paper. And I've heard city council and everyone scream there's no toilet paper in the bathroom because the homeless people are stealing it. Well, because I'm sorry, toilet paper is the most important thing in this world.
Yes.
And when you're homeless, it's actually more important than money, believe it or not. So toilet paper is like one of those things, toothbrushes, toothpaste, razors.
Paper towels maybe too.
That's not something they can really carry in their backpacks easily, but those like wipe things, those pre-moistened towelette things, those are like awesome. And those they can really help, and that'll help clean them up as well, instead of using our springs and our bathrooms to take showers in.
I have a question about the horse.
Yes.
Thank goodness they can camp or whatever up there.
Yes.
So there's no rules yet for that.
Well, there is a rule. They have to move every 14 days.
Oh, really?
But they can move 6 inches.
Oh.
Okay. But they have to move every 14 days.
Like you used to have an old car, you had to move.
Right. You have to move it you can move it 6 inches, but you have to move it every 14
So it's not
days.
that bad yet.
No. Yes.
Now, it seems to me also, and I know you've thought about this, Michelle, and that is the coordination with Westside Care and Aspen Pointe and the Vet Center, etc. And how do you envision that might happen?
Well, I've been working with somebody at Aspen Pointe. Actually, the director and I had a meeting 3 years ago when I envisioned this project in the first place. And I have a receptionist who I work with at Aspen Pointe that I refer to, and usually I can call up and say, okay, they have what they call walk-in days. And they have one walk-in day a week, but it varies. So I call up and say, okay, what is your walk-in day? And so I try to make sure that they get there for that walk-in. It's first come, first served, but it can be all day. So they get there for that walk-in day, and that gets them into the Aspen Pointe program.
So what I can tell you is we have an office here in town now with Aspen Pointe that is a drop-in office.
Oh, cool.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
So, and a lot of what we're doing is resume and interviewing and, communication skills, conflict resolution, whatever.
Right.
GED stuff.
Yeah.
So I would hope that, I can give you the flyers and stuff,
Okay.
but that is absolutely, some of what you would maybe send them out to.
Right.
That you would need the bus vouchers for, they don't need, because it's right here.
Because it's right here, and that,
Right.
that would be awesome.
And then
Right.
So you have a flyer.
Yeah.
You will have-
So we still need to work with the city and get the shower vouchers, because as a lot of people that they tell me, believe it or not, showers are really the big thing for their self-esteem.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Without showers, they just want to give up and quit.
Sure.
And that either leads to drinking or drugs if they haven't before.
Sure.
And even if they are trying to get clean, because there are quite a few people that live there that are alcoholics or drug addicts, it's really hard when you have absolutely nothing to try and make that first step to getting clean. If you don't have clean clothes and a clean body. And so just to even get them to that point can be the difference between them wanting to quit and not wanting to quit.
Even if you're not OCD.
Yeah, yes.
That's right.
Yes. So, that's kind of one of these are kind of the things that can help get this off the ground.
So if you want to offer, buy some toilet paper and all that stuff, just put it in the red wagon.
Just put it in our red wagon, and that's going to help, especially on Sundays. Just even for right now, just on Sundays, so they can come in and get that. As I said, the non-perishable, non-cooking foods. I know that the program that we have from Care and Share can only be administered to people who live here. So foods like that can be given out on Wednesdays to the people that need it. So that's at least 2 days a week to start with, that they can get at least emergency foods, so they're not standing there trying to get money from the tourists and or accosting them for their leftover foods as they leave restaurants.
No, you were talking about that the other day. I hadn't seen that.
I see it all the time. I really do. And we also have a no trash can digging, so if they throw away their leftover foods, it's illegal for the homeless to dig into the trash cans here in Manitou Springs.
So what happens to them if
They get a $150 ticket,
if they can't pay it,
then they go to jail for 1 day.
and that costs taxpayers money?
It does. It's a whole
It's
huge thing that they go into, and
because people
it's
throw
very
away.
political, but it means that Manitou Springs has to pay the $38 a day to house somebody
What are you talking about now, Jason?
Well, the city has to, the
Oh.
jail, the county jail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Manitou Springs has to pay
Yeah.
to house them
That's right.
$38 for every day that they are there, even in violation of something like a no camping ordinance or a no digging and trash can ordinance. And
So what's so
obviously-
wrong with that? Why they ever make that rule? Just because it looks like?
Because it looks bad. I mean,
Uh-huh.
we're a very tourist-oriented town,
Yeah,
and
uh-huh.
we're trying to make it look as pleasant as possible
Uh-huh.
for tourists to come in and buy money. For those of us that work here for years, the tourists are our lifeblood.
Yeah.
And if it looks bad with all of these homeless people coming into town, to do that, then, you know, you end up, your choices are, well, we want them out of town, so we're going to make all these laws. Well, I'm sorry, all those laws are not going to make the people not go, because the only place they have to go is the National Forest. So that kind of didn't work. It kept them from hanging out in spots, but we still have them, and the Supreme Court upheld the law that they can fly a sign. So they have the right to sit wherever they want and fly a sign and beg the tourists for money.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to come up with a stopgap method that's kind of between the conservatives who say, why should we be helping these people?
Yeah.
Because the object really is to give them a hand up to get out of here so that they're not hanging around and doing all of these things that you don't want them to do. Making more laws didn't work. We tried that for the last 4 years and it hasn't worked. They're here more than ever.
Yeah.
We have, especially since the flood and the Waldo Canyon fire, the Red Cross has kind of left their job, and they did. They took care of close to 200 of our homeless people in the forest and got them places to live and jobs. But they've gone since then. So now we have this buildup back then, and we still do have people that have been living out there for 5 and 6 years now, who really...
How come First Aid left? Excuse me.
What?
How come they left Red Cross?
Well, because they were only here for the emergencies.
Oh, just for that. Oh.
They were only here for the emergencies, and so once those emergencies
Yeah.
were done, they left.
Yeah.
And so since then, which has been about 2 years, we've been building up more and more people back in the National Forest that have no homes. I mean, there's myriads of things. Their houses burned down. I mean, just, you can't imagine how many stories I've heard from these people that have just, you know, you can prepare for as much as you want, but as I know better than anybody, my husband tripped, broke his neck, and that was the end of it. We lost everything we had. So, you know, these people are just under circumstances. One lady was with her boyfriend and he abandoned her. He just literally dropped her off at the grocery store, said, I'll be back in 15 minutes, and never came back, disappeared with everything she owned here at Safeway.
Yeah.
She was left with nothing, miles away from her family. No food, no shelter, no nothing. There was nothing she could do.
Where's she now?
So,
She's here now still?
no, she finally,
She found
we finally got her through a bunch of programs, and if you really beg Catholic Charities, they have a transportation system. If you can prove that where you're going is a place for you to live, you're not just going to somewhere else for being homeless, and you have really dire needs, they will come up with the money to put you on a bus to get there. They had a huge program where they did that when we had all those homeless people living along the creek. They cleaned out about 800 people doing that. Then they stopped the program for a while. But if you really beg and plead and you talk to the right people and say, I've got this lady, whatever circumstances, they will give them bus fare, and that's another way to get them out of here. But, so that's the program.
Wonderful.
Very good.